being spent on food for his private jet rather than making life more affordable for hardworking Canadians who actually pay the bills. More costs, more cover-up, more Liberal waste. This Prime Minister is just another costly Liberal. So when will this Liberal Prime Minister remove all the taxes on all the gases for all the year so Canadians can get real relief?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, we're going to continue to focus on this side on affordability. We just launched a grocery essentials benefit that will put up to $1,900 in the pockets of hardworking families. We just cut the excise tax, that's 10 cents. You combine that with the carbon tax cut, that's 28 cents. The spring economic update continued to confirm our economy is strong and growing. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we're laser focused on building a strong economy. That side can continue with the rhetoric and the riddles. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for York-Durham.
For weeks now, the Liberals have blamed external events for homegrown problems. Higher gasoline, blame Iran. Higher diesel, blame Iran. But yesterday, the CEO of Cenovus said it wasn't external events, but Liberal policies that were making resource development and investment in Canada uncompetitive. He said the industrial carbon tax incents industry to invest outside Canada. So Liberal policies equal higher costs and more debt for Canadians and fleeing investors. So will the Minister of Energy instead give Canadians a break, cut all the gas taxes for the entire year?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Maybe he should read about what the CEO of Shell said. The CEO of Shell said Canada is the best place in the world to invest, and he just put $20 billion behind that statement, Mr. Speaker. And the CEO of Enbridge put $4 billion behind his statement. So maybe they should look a little harder in the paper, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for York-Durham.
Mr. Speaker, CBC is reporting that the Liberals will change the rules for resource development and pipeline approvals to allegedly try and speed them up. But forgive me, we've been here before. Last year they promised big projects at speeds never seen before. If the minister was right, we'd have projects coming out of everywhere. But in that year, no project has been approved in the national interest. Nothing has been fast-tracked. Not one anti-development resource law or tax has been removed. It's beginning to feel a little bit like Alice in Wonderland, where the rule is pipeline tomorrow, pipeline yesterday, but never a pipeline today. So if that's not the case, will he tell us when the next pipeline will be approved?
The Honourable Minister of Energy.
Speaker, if he took the cotton out of his ears, he would have heard there was a pipeline being built from Taylor to Gordondale. He would have heard there was an expansion of the largest pipeline system in British Columbia. He would have heard there was $8 billion just being spent in Goose Bay. He would have heard there was $500 million being spent on a new wood farm in Nova Scotia. He would have heard about the new transmission line between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. I could keep going, Mr. Speaker. They should listen a little more carefully.
The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. After 11 years running Canada, the Liberals will have us believe that it's normal that the deficit is over $60 billion a year. While the Liberals squander billions, Quebecers are having to pinch every penny. A new Fraser Institute study has shown that Canada is going through a youth unemployment crisis. In 2022, youth unemployment was about 12%. It has climbed to 19%, something never seen outside a recession. When will this very Liberal Prime Minister finally start focusing on our youth's future when he makes decisions? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard that question, and I certainly hope that the member across the way will support our spring economic statement, which will invest $6 billion over 5 years to train young people so that they can have job opportunities in fields like construction. We know there will be a great need for construction. Why? Because this government believes in building major projects, building the future of our country, and ensuring our economy is the strongest in the G7. The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Let's talk about major projects. The Major Projects Office has already spent $41 million. They have not announced a single major project. Properties are losing value. There's no retail jobs. There's no jobs in food and dining. All the government has created are new taxes and new red tape. The government wants young people to make sacrifices, but they say affordability has never been so good. When will the Prime Minister stop running up charges on the national credit card and start making sure our youth have a future to look forward to? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, my colleague has just noted all we are doing to invest in training so that our youth can enter the skilled trades where they will find well-paying jobs. Meanwhile, Conservatives, including that member, are opposed to us getting major projects done. They are opposed to the Alto high-speed rail project, which will create 51,000 jobs in Quebec. They are against the $18 million of planes sold by that were manufactured in Quebec. They are opposed to all that we are doing to help the economy. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, today we learned that the Liberals have decided to speed up pipeline construction by cutting regulations. I guess there's too many rules. Why combat greenhouse gas emissions and ensure social acceptability when there's oil in the ground and money to be found? Regulations be damned. Conservatives are being edged out as the party that loves oil and gas the most. Soon, Liberals will be wearing I love oil and gas buttons on their lapels. Is there a single Liberal left who actually cares about the environment? And if so, what the heck are they still doing in that party? The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change. Mr. Speaker, I have said this once, I'll say it again. Our government is committed to continuing the fight against climate change and protecting the environment. We have a nature protection strategy which will invest heavily in the future of our country. We put in place methane regulations. This is something that people are looking at in other countries and saying, wow, Canada is showing leadership. We are doing our job, and I hope that the Bloc Québécois will join us. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure there are Conservatives just itching to cross the floor to the other side of the House. This Prime Minister is promoting the monarchy and the tar sands. Gosh, Conservatives must really recognize themselves in this Prime Minister. We get it. The Liberals believe that the future of Canada should be built on dirty 19th century fossil fuels. Sure, we know what we're up against, but I have a simple question. What are Liberals who still believe in climate change waiting for to leave that party? The Honourable Minister. So, I would assure the entire House that this government is committed to continuing the fight against climate change. We are putting in the work. We will continue to put in the work. Look at our automotive strategy. That is one way we will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, while creating jobs in the manufacturing sector. Look at what we are doing to protect nature. Look at the regulations we have put in place to regulate methane. Our greenhouse gas emissions will be reduced by 400 megatons. We are putting in the work, and we will continue to do so. The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Goodness gracious, Mr. Speaker. The Liberals have adopted Bill C-5 to speed up projects so-called in the national interest. C-5 allowed the government to exempt itself from legislation that would prevent pipeline construction. Now the government has yet another solution to speed up pipeline construction. They will just shred the regulations. If the rules are making it too hard to move oil through the ground, just throw out the rule book. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals themselves set the goal of reaching carbon zero by 2050. Do they understand that they have just caused themselves to wildly fail in that goal? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, Quebecers understand that major energy projects can change economies. That's what Robert Bourassa understood. That is what we understood. Be it nuclear energy, wind energy, solar energy, renewable energy of any kind, and yes, unconventional energy. Our government will act. We will build major projects, but we will not stop there. We will invest in logistics projects like the Port of Contrecoeur and the port of Saguenay, which my colleagues should know more about.
A shocking new report found that nearly 500,000 young Canadians were unemployed in 2025. That's a 57% increase in 3 years, and that's worse than the recessions of 1981, 1990, and 2008 for young people. Liberals ran over $1 trillion debt.
Unbelievable.
And they priced Canadians out of the housing market, the highest housing costs in the G7, and then loosened the foreign work restrictions and flooded the labor market. A decade of their support, and somehow every single door is closed for young Canadians. How is it that this government is locking young Canadians out of both the housing market and the labor market at the same time?
Unbelievable.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Canada's new government is fiscally responsible. We've reduced the deficit by $11 billion. We're in the strongest fiscal percentage of the G7. Wow. Mr. Speaker, we're making investment in major infrastructure investments that are transform and connect our economy. Amazing. Our workers know this, Mr. Speaker. Let's hear from our workers. Let's hear from the UA that's in that member's riding. This update delivers investments to expand training and a multitude of apprenticeship needs. It will increase youth, Indigenous and diverse participation in the trades for upcoming projects of national interest. Mr. Speaker, that's how you build a Canada strong for all.
Honourable member for Thornhill.
Despite all of that rhetoric, despite the $1 trillion in Liberal debt, young Canadians now make up over a quarter of all unemployed workers. That's double their share of the workforce, and they still can't afford a home. They still can't afford groceries, and they still can't afford to get ahead. Right. They are borrowing record billions on the national credit card to stimulate the same economy that they are cooling with record immigration, and they handed the bill to Canadians for all of it. At what point does any Liberal take responsibility for an entire generation that is priced out, crowded out, and left holding the bag for their incompetence?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Again, this new government is fiscally responsible. We reduced the debt by $11 billion, the deficit by $11 billion, and we are in the strongest fiscal position in the G7. Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives, though, can't stand up and say they support Canadians while voting against all the supports that Canadians rely on, including youth. Mr. Speaker, they oppose tax relief, they oppose child care, they oppose dental care, the school food program, and national school food program. Who could be against that? So, Mr. Speaker, my question is, you can't oppose all of that, then claim you support it. You cannot have it both ways. So my question, Mr. Speaker, is when will they table their list of inflationary spending that they're going to cut?
The Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians are working hard, getting an education, and trying to build a future. But after 11 years of costly Liberal policies, they are still struggling to find good jobs. Yeah. Fraser Institute reports youth unemployment has surged to almost 19%, with young Canadians unemployed longer than at any point since the records began. When will this Prime Minister stop being just another costly Liberal and end his credit card budgeting so young people in Oshawa and across Canada can afford to work, eat, and get ahead?
Yeah, well said. Well said.
Honourable Member, the Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I had the honour of being at BCIT, the BC Institute of Technology, earlier this week to talk about 100,000 jobs for young Canadians building homes and infrastructure. And the members opposite have an opportunity to support the spring economic update that dedicates $6 billion for training young Canadians to be part of our economy and to build the affordable housing that we need to house the young Canadians. Mr. Speaker, it's a great opportunity for us to build Canada strong. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Oshawa.
Mr. Speaker, when will these Liberals realize that they keep having to create these support programs because they created the crisis in the first place? And get this, even with these programs, young people are still worse off than ever before. So clearly, they don't work. Under this Prime Minister, Canadians are seeing the same old Liberal agenda we saw under Justin Trudeau, only worse, with more costs, more taxes, more debt, more on the national credit card, more of the same. Why are Liberals forcing young Canadians to pay the price for their failures?
Well said.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Speaker, I understand the member opposite's concern for our youth, and I empathize with our youth, but What I can't understand is how that member from Oshawa can go and visit Ontario Power Generation and see the jobs that are being created in our region with the new nuclear project at Darlington. That's 21,700 jobs and a $2 billion investment through this government's efforts that she voted against. How can she stand here and lecture us about youth jobs in our region and our country and vote against the very supports that are creating good, skilled, trained jobs across our region?
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
After a decade of costly Liberal credit card budgeting, young Canadians are facing more costs, more taxes, more debt, more of the national credit card, and more of the same. This Prime Minister is just another costly Liberal who has surged youth unemployment beyond recessionary levels. Since 2022, youth unemployment has surged from 12.3% to 18.9%, and young Canadians are remaining unemployed longer than at any point since records began in 1976. Liberal labour and immigration policies are driving up the cost of rent, groceries, and homes for young Canadians. When will this Liberal Prime Minister end his costly credit card budgeting so young Canadians can afford to eat, work, and live?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Industry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our plan is investing in jobs and is supporting those private sector innovators that are bringing jobs, including to places like York Region in the members region, where AMD has a major facility there where they're centralizing their innovation supports in York Region, in Markham, bringing thousands of jobs. I recently visited the University of Toronto's Masters of Applied Science and Computer Science program, and every single one of those graduates now has a job in that program. It's because of the work that our government is doing, supporting the post-secondary system, supporting not only the industrial side, but the technology side. We're very proud of our record.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, objectively, their so-called plan is simply not working. Conditions are extremely difficult in this country for youth and for young families. The Liberals' $1 trillion of debt means less growth and fewer jobs, especially for those just starting out. Credit card budgeting, high taxes, poor immigration policy, these have all contributed. We see more costs, more taxes, more debt, more on the national credit card, more of the same. This Prime Minister is just another costly Liberal with no results to show for this way. So when will Liberals reverse policies that are objectively not working so that young people can get back to work?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The International Monetary Fund has affirmed, Mr. Speaker, as we know, the sound fiscal framework that the government has embraced. That is also true of the key ratings agencies. But my colleagues keep talking about a credit card. Yes, there are Canadians, young Canadians included, who do have credit card debt. They want to make it worse, Mr. Speaker. They want to make it worse by forcing them to not receive the Canada Child Benefit, to not receive support for childcare, to not receive support for the school food program. They want them to pay for it. In this country, we believe that government has a role in fundamentally making sure that Canadians have a chance. That's exactly what these programs do.
Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, this government has $1 trillion of credit card debt, and they keep telling us that everything is fine. Everything is not fine, but in the midst of this environment, Conservatives are offering constructive proposals to support youth and young families who are struggling. In the fall, we announced the Conservative Youth Jobs Plan. Just today, we announced big new ideas to reform parental leave to make it easier to start and grow a family. Now, instead of doubling down on more of the same failure, will Liberals listen to and support the big ideas that we're putting forward to help young people and families finally succeed?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Here's a big idea, Mr. Speaker. Don't vote against childcare that's saving families in Saskatchewan thousands of dollars a month per child. One of the most effective measures to make sure that young families get ahead, that women can participate in the workforce, that women's productivity and wages grow along with their career, that CPP enhancements are there for women at the end of their career. You know what? Instead of these big ideas, Mr. Speaker, maybe stop voting against the big ideas that Canadians have fought so hard for.
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, Radio-Canada has just broken the news that the Liberals are about to scrap the entire pipeline regulatory framework. They already passed Bill C-5, which suspends virtually all federal legislation. But no, that wasn't enough for them. Now they want to limit all pipelines to a single environmental assessment, the federal assessment, which always gives a green light. Now they want to restrict consultation. So say goodbye to the Quebec consultation process, say goodbye to grassroots engagement, and say hello to climate change. Is this truly why Quebec Liberals ran for office? The Honourable Minister of the Environment. Mr. Speaker, I will repeat myself once more. Our government is absolutely committed to fighting climate change and protecting the environment. Looking internationally, we are global leaders when it comes to climate funding. Domestically, we are investing in a clean electricity grid. It is so important to reach carbon zero. This is so important to our future. They are complaining while we put in the work to fight climate change. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, this is ridiculous. Liberals are planning to fight climate change with pipelines. According to Radio-Canada, later this week, Liberals will announce that they are scrapping the pipeline regulatory framework. And talk about timing, because Danielle Smith is coming to town tomorrow for her far-right family reunion. Who would have thought that the Liberals would get a standing ovation from Preston Manning's far-right think tank? What's funny is that for months now, the Liberals have been trying to cobble together a majority one floor crossing at a time. Wouldn't it have been easier for them to just merge with the Conservative Party? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, we know that transportation represents 20% of our greenhouse gas emissions, a significant amount. Now, our government is proposing a solution, a high-speed rail project, which will cross Quebec. It will be 1,000 kilometers long. It will get people from Quebec City to Toronto in 4 hours. The Bloc Québécois is opposed to this project. They are opposed to this major environmental project. How come the Bloc is opposed to the best thing we could possibly do to protect the environment, get Quebecers moving? How come Quebecers are opposing environmental policy? The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, with this illusion of a Prime Minister, it's more of the same. Everything costs more costs, more taxes, more debt, and the national credit card is maxed out. Mr. Speaker, the average Canadian family is spending $4,000 a month just to live another day under this Liberal government. What was once a dignified wage is now barely enough to survive on. How do they expect Canadians to make ends meet under this illusion of a Prime Minister? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know what used to be more expensive for 19,000 Canadians? Dental care, but the Conservatives are opposed to our dental plan. People used to put off dentist visits because they couldn't afford it. Not anymore. These Conservatives also want it to be more expensive to raise a family because they're opposed to the groceries and essentials benefits that 12 million Canadians will receive. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, yeah, talk is cheap, but you know what isn't cheap? $2 a litre gasoline, $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, $17,000 a year to feed a family of 4. Mr. Speaker, we saw how bad things got this morning when a new liquidation-style grocery store opened in Granby. The police were called in to manage the line of people lining up for food at 5 o'clock in the morning. The situation is desperate. The national credit card is maxed out. When will this Liberal Prime Minister finally take the issue seriously? The Honourable Minister. Talk is cheap? Is dental care cheap? Is support for 12,000 families in his riding cheap? People in his riding depend on our government measures. On June 5th, millions of Quebecers will receive our groceries and essentials benefit. They will receive the assistance we need because here, on this side of the House, we believe that prosperity ought to be inclusive. The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker, $1.475 trillion. That is how much the Liberals have charged to the national credit card. Because of Liberal debt, seniors are being forced to choose between groceries and prescription medication. Young families are not able to afford a first home. Despite the illusions, this Liberal Prime Minister is more of the same. He is just another costly Liberal. When will the government stop governing for bankers and start governing for everyday Canadians? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Mr. Speaker. That's an important question. Over and over, the Conservatives talk about illusions. Canadians are not receiving illusions in my riding. They are receiving real benefits. The groceries and essentials benefits is not an illusion. It is over $1,800 over a year for a family with 4 kids. These families will receive that money in just a few days. They will see that it is a tangible support, because that's what we do on this side of the House. We help Canadians in the short term and invest over the long term.
The Honourable Member for Chicoutimi-Fial. Mr. Speaker, this question is important. If the Liberals really want to help families and seniors, well, they should start by closing the open bar in Ottawa. The Prime Minister is being irresponsible with Canadians' money. Interest on Liberal debt is costing more than $53 billion this year. That's money that isn't going to seniors, it isn't going to families, and it isn't going to public services. Well, Canadians have to cut back everywhere just to get by. Why does the Prime Minister refuse to cut red tape and cut unnecessary spending? The Honourable Secretary of State for Nature. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I'll continue with things that aren't illusions for Canadians. The Canada Child Benefit. $8,000 per child per year. That's major. It's useful. Canadians are seeing the results because we are going through a difficult time. I just talked about groceries. The dental care benefit. Almost 18,500 people are saving up to $800 a year. That's the reality, and that's without counting everything that we're doing with major projects, because we need to invest for the long term. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Airdrie-Cochrane.
All veterans get from this Liberal government are excuses and cuts. The Liberals slashed billions from veteran services, leaving veterans facing longer wait times and fewer supports. And now they're covering up the fact that the Housing Minister hid $3 million they cut from homeless veterans, claiming they couldn't find any. Unfortunately, there's thousands of homeless veterans in this country, and rather than covering up these cuts, why didn't they spend their time trying to find veterans they could help? So why does this Liberal government always seem to find money for Liberal insiders, but never for veterans who fought for our country?
They're here. The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague across the way for the question and the opportunity to clarify that there has been no cuts to services and benefits offered to veterans.
That's right.
We continue to ensure that veterans have access to the services and benefits which allow them to be successful in their post-service life.
The Honourable Member for Sarnia-Lambton-Bequidgeonong.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud to be part of a government that's committed to defending Canadian trade and ensuring our businesses are not overly reliant on any single market. By opening doors for exporters and supporting small businesses to reach customers around the world, we're strengthening our economy and creating more opportunities in my riding of Sarnia-Lambton-Bequidgeonong and across the country. Could the Minister of Women and Gender Equality and Secretary of State for Small Business and Tourism update this House on the historic progress we've made to diversify Canadian trade?
The Honourable Minister of Women and Gender Equality, Small Business and Tourism.
I thank the member from Sarnia for her small business advocacy. Mr. Speaker, I've got good news. We don't just have one, we have 2 new trade agreements that have made law with the United Kingdom and Indonesia, Mr. Speaker. Together, these agreements are going to boost our trade ties and give Canadian businesses access to markets in more than 340 million people. That means new customers for our exporters, new opportunities for our small businesses, and more good-paying jobs in this country. Mr. Speaker, that is how you build Canada strong.
Honourable Member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Defense signed a $200 million contract for access to a spaceport that the company itself leases for just $14,000 a year. That's $20 million a year for a decade. Worse, the contract was backdated by a full year when no lease was being negotiated, while the company's own auditor warned it may be bankrupt. After the deal was signed, the company's stock surged, and a well-connected Liberal insider cashed out for millions. Will the minister explain how this is not another multi-million-dollar boondoggle, rewarding friends while taxpayers carry all the risk?
The honourable Minister of National Defence.
Needless to say, Mr. Speaker, the premise of the question is frankly stupid. Mr. Speaker, establishing Canadian sovereign space launch capabilities will drive billions in investments. It's going to create good-paying jobs. It'll increase Canada's sovereignty. It'll reduce our reliance on the United States. And it's going to support a commercial space launch and re-entry industry that could be worth up to $40 billion. That's what we're investing in. These are the essential capabilities that protect Canada and create massive economic benefits for Canadians, coast to coast to coast.
The honourable member for Calgary Centre. Let me explain stupid to the minister. He gifted $20 million backdated to a company on the brink of bankruptcy. The company's chairman, someone with a history of securities infractions, made millions on a quick pump and dump sale of shares. The lease the taxpayers are paying for is nowhere in the company's previous regulatory filings. The company's Liberal insiders met with officials 158 times. Someone's going to face the music here. Will it be the Liberal insiders who are stuffing money into their jeans, or the minister who signed this god-awful document?
Exactly. The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, you know, the interesting thing about all this commentary coming from the other side of the floor is this. Every single measure put forward to strengthen the Canadian Armed Forces, every single investment in housing, in equipment, in munitions, right? In our bases, in our housing stock, every single one, pay increases, all opposed. I'm not sure, Mr. Speaker, what these people stand for anymore, but it's becoming very apparent to the ladies, the women, the men of the Canadian Armed Forces.
The Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
The Liberal government spent $300 million on the failed Prescribe IT program that had less than 5% uptake. Now that it's being scrapped, we've learned that the CEO responsible for this failed scandal-plagued program was being paid $900,000 per year. And when Conservatives looked to have the minister testify at committee, Liberals blocked it. So will the minister stand today and explain to this House the justification for paying this CEO $900,000 while Canadians are lined up at food banks?
The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Listen, the situation with the CEO of that company is indeed unacceptable. As you know, this is a company that is not directly under Health Canada. However, I spoke with the board and corrective measures have been taken, and I can assure the member of the opposition that I am on this file and that I'm doing everything in my power to clarify all of the problems.
The Honourable Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Well, let me clarify some of the problems for the minister. They spent $300 million on a program that didn't work and wasn't used, and they oversaw the CEO being paid $900,000. And they don't seem to want to agree to have the Auditor General review this scandal-plagued program, and the minister doesn't seem to want to come to committee to face questions about it. So, will the minister stand up today and commit to having the Auditor General review this program in detail and report findings to this House, and to come before committee to testify about this failure?
The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I take the committee's work very seriously, the Health Committee, and I will come back to the Health Committee at a later date. As I have said, we have taken action. We spoke with the Board of Directors, and they have taken measures to revoke the person who is responsible for the company. I continue to work on the file, and I will take the necessary steps.
The honourable member for Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, airshow organizers across North America are quietly being told that this is the final season of the iconic snowbirds. I wrote the Minister of National Defence almost 6 months ago asking about the future of the snowbirds. No reply. Senator Batters did the same in the Senate. Crickets. Tomorrow is the Snowbirds acceptance show in Comox. Why won't the Liberals come clean about their decision to cancel the iconic Snowbirds, and when will they reverse this terrible decision?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, the RCAF's fleet of Tudor aircraft was first introduced in the 1960s, and the fleet will reach its end of life in the coming years. The member knows this. The Snowbirds will continue air demonstrations with the Tudor fleet for as long as it is feasible and safe. The member knows that as well. And the Snowbirds remain committed to their performances. As we've stated, we're beginning the process of examining potential aircraft options for the Snowbirds mission once the CT-144 Tudor fleet reaches its end of life. Thank you.
The honourable member for Moose Jaw, Lake Centre, Lanigan.
Mr. Speaker, jet noise is the sound of freedom, not white noise. Canadians want to be inspired by other Canadians. Do you know how we got the second female snowbird pilot? Because a flame was planted in her heart when at the age of 12, she saw the first female snowbird pilot. Why are the Liberals hiding the fact that they plan to cancel the Snowbirds after the season, and why won't they immediately reverse this terrible decision? It's SOS time, Mr. Speaker. Save our Snowbirds.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I share the member's concerns about the future of the fleet. It's an iconic part of Canadian culture. He and I would agree. But here's the difference. Here's the difference. This member surely can't be suggesting he's going to put the pilots, the women and men of that fleet, in harm's way. Have him stand up, Mr. Speaker, and make it plain that he intends to have pilots flying planes that should not be flown under mechanical watch today. Have him explain that.
The honourable member for Yorkton, Melville.
Under this Liberal government, our Canadian forces' morale has been attacked, traditions erased, and attrition has become highly damaging to our capability to defend Canada. Canadian Forces Snowbirds must continue to be the souls of our Canadian military. They exude Canadian pride and international reputation for expertise, precision, and high standards that have given our allies confidence in us in the past. Will these Liberals do the right thing? Save our souls, save our Snowbirds.
Yeah. The Honourable Government House Leader.
The Minister has spoken very eloquently about our need to be the adults and be responsible and to keep our pilots safe. And that's exactly what we're going to continue to do. But the temerity, the gall of Conservatives to stand in this House, the 0.99% of GDP crew here talking, giving lectures, will take no lessons on defense spending, on defense investments, on investments in our veterans, on investments in our armed forces, and equipping our men and women in uniform from those Conservatives who starved them.
The honourable member for Saskatoon South.
SOS, Mr. Speaker, save our Snowbirds. The Snowbirds are a proud Canadian institution based in the land of the living skies, Saskatchewan. We now hear the Liberals are going to cancel the Snowbird program. It is unthinkable that we could see the end of this precision squadron that proudly represents this country at home and abroad. Will these Liberals reverse this mistake and keep our Snowbirds in the sky?
The Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear here. Surely these members...
Oh, I really want to hear this. I really want to hear this. The Minister should... the Minister can start over.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, surely the members on the opposite side including those who have distinguished service in the Canadian Armed Forces. They are not suggesting that we continue to put the pilots of these aircraft in, frankly, harm's way. They know these planes have got to be replaced. They know this assessment's ongoing. And lest I...
It's still too noisy. Still too noisy. Still too noisy. Does the minister have more to say, or did... Okay. Okay. Well, pardon? I know I can't hear either. So the minister, now that it's a little quieter, now that it's a little quieter, now that it's a little quieter, or just a little bit quieter. Yeah. Before, everyone in the House was calling for quiet. The Honourable Minister of National Defence may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll try again. Mr. Speaker, as my House Leader colleague was saying just a moment ago, it's a bit rich. For a party that had funding for the Canadian Armed Forces and Defence below 1% of GDP, like really, honestly, Mr. Speaker, stand up, join us as we reinvest in the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, if you think about one symbol that unites all Canadians from coast to coast to coast, it's the snowbirds. But now, for 4 questions now in a row that the Minister of Defence has gotten from my colleagues, and all he can say is, we're putting our pilots' lives in danger. And, what have they done for 11 years? It seems like we've known for a long time something has to be done, and now the snowbirds are in danger. What does the minister have to say to that? The Honourable Minister of National Defence. Mr. Speaker, here are the facts. The Tudor aircraft fleet was put into service in the 1960s, and it is coming to its end of life in the coming years. The member knows it. He's known it for a long time. The snowbirds continue with demonstrations with the Tudor flight, and they will continue to do so as long as possible and as long as it's safe. The snowbirds are determined to continue with their performances. The member knows that. We continue our good work. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Mr. Speaker, yesterday marked a historic moment. For the first time, 2 international trade bills received royal assent on the same day. These 2 agreements with Indonesia and the United Kingdom provide for the gradual reduction of many tariffs, with the aim of improving market access and the competitiveness of our businesses. As the Member of Parliament for Beauport-Limoilou, I know that this trade diversification is essential for Quebec City's small and medium-sized businesses and workers. Can the Quebec Lieutenant explain how these agreements will help SMEs in Quebec City and across the country grow, export, and create good jobs here at home? The Honourable Government Quebec Lieutenant. It's an excellent question. I'd like to thank my excellent colleague from Beauport-Limoilou, first of all, for the work that he does on the international trade. And it's clear, exports in goods and services outside the United States went up by $33 billion over the last year, but we're not finished, Mr. Speaker. As he said yesterday, 2 historic agreements with Indonesia and the United Kingdom came into force. That represents 350 million new clients and new opportunities for our businesses. For Quebec, this means access to an Indonesian market that's worth billions of dollars for the forestry sector, the aerospace sector, and the pharmaceutical sector. It's good news.
South Kelowna.
In British Columbia, land title certainty is foundational. Families buy homes, secure mortgages, and plan their futures on the strength of our land registry. But today, homeowners in Richmond are being told that certainty no longer exists because of the Cowichan decision. That ruling followed a federal choice. The Liberal government instructed its lawyers not to defend private property rights in court. In 2019, the Liberals adopted Litigation Guideline 14, telling federal lawyers to avoid defending property rights. That directive is still in force today. Why is the Prime Minister choosing Liberal ideology over British Columbia homeowners by continuing to tell federal lawyers not to defend their private property rights?
The Honourable Minister for Crown Indigenous Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Cowichan case is still in active litigation, and we're not going to talk about our legal strategy on the floor. However, what we can talk about is the public agreement, which the Conservatives have called secret, the Musqueam agreements. They're available online, and I encourage my Conservative colleagues to read them. These agreements did not appear overnight. In 2017, Musqueam and Canada signed a Memorandum of Understanding. And in February 2026, that work evolved into a framework agreement. However, it's not a title agreement, it's not a land claim, so let me be absolutely clear, the agreement does not affect Canadian.
The honourable member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he will defend property rights, but his Liberal government's own website still shows that Litigation Directive number 14, which was announced as a directive back in 2019, still remains in effect today. The directive instructs federal lawyers not to defend private property rights in court. While the Prime Minister makes promises publicly, his government policies have not changed. Will the Prime Minister reverse his directive today so British Columbians can have certainty of home ownership?
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. What is happening with the opposition is they are creating uncertainty and fear. They are intentionally scaring Canadians. They're making investors scared. And they're making reconciliation out to be a bad thing. Our government has appealed. We will continue to defend private property rights in Canada. Mr. Speaker, real leadership means working together to address problems, not creating more fear in the world. Real leadership is respecting the Constitution, respecting the courts, and respecting the work of advancing reconciliation.
Honourable member for Pitt Meadows, Maple Ridge.
Mr. Speaker, British Columbians bought their homes, paid their mortgages, and followed the law. But because the Liberal government directed its lawyers not to argue for property rights in the Cowichan case, the judge did not protect private property. In 2019, the Liberal government issued a directive called Litigation Guideline number 14, which discourages federal lawyers from defending property rights in court. This Liberal Prime Minister has kept that guideline in place. In fact, it's still on their website today. Why do Liberals continue to tell lawyers not to defend homeowners?
Great question. The Honourable Secretary of State for International Development.
Let me be clear. The federal government is defending the property rights. The property rights are not at risk. The only people that are saying the property rights are at risk are the Conservatives over here and their counterparts in the province of British Columbia. You know it, we know it, Mr. Speaker. The Canadian government will always defend the private property rights. None of the treaty agreements take away those rights. We will defend the rights of Canadians. They are just disseminating fear in the hearts of British Columbians and Canadians for the wrong reasons.
The Honourable Member for Sackville, Bedford Preston.
Mr. Speaker, we know young people are the foundation of Canada's future. Can the Secretary of State for Labour tell this House what our government is doing through the spring economic update to invest in the next generation, ensuring they have both the opportunities to stay active and the pathway to build meaningful careers across this country? Thank you.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Thank that member for all of his hard work on behalf of his constituents in Nova Scotia. He's an excellent member. Our spring economic update, Mr. Speaker, is investing in the next generation. We are creating paid pathways for 100,000 Canadians to get into the skilled trades with a $6 billion investment, helping young people build good careers right here at home, Mr. Speaker. And we are making the largest investment in sport in Canadian history, so kids have the ability across this country to stay active and thrive. Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things we're doing to support Canadian youth and to build a Canada strong for all.
Full member for Simcoe North.
The Prime Minister recently recalled MPs off a trip and delegation to Taiwan. He's been sitting on for over a year an updated and finalized trade cooperation framework arrangement with Taiwan. It's just awaiting his signature. And Taiwan has been patiently waiting for additional flights to operate to Canada, only to see the government recently fast-track and announce new flights with China. So what does it say to our democratic allies around the world when this Liberal government stonewalls Taiwan in favor of getting closer to an autocratic Beijing?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Actually,
Mr. Speaker, the member opposite is not accurately reflecting the importance with which we take the Indo-Pacific region in general and including Taiwan, which is an important economic partner. We enjoy strong people-to-people ties with Taiwan, Mr. Speaker, and we will continue to ensure that Taiwan continues to be an important economic partner for this country as we diversify trade and double non-U.S. trade over the next 10 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals' privatization agenda is disturbing and dangerous. They're planning to sell off Canada's ports and airports, strategic assets that will end up in the hands of foreign buyers, compromising our security. When Heathrow was privatized in the UK, it resulted in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and China controlling major stakes in that airport. Passengers paid more and services declined. Will the Prime Minister commit to keeping Canada's ports and airports in public hands, or will he sell our sovereignty to the highest bidder?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, friend, of course, the Government of Canada is exploring all possibilities, but one thing we will not compromise on is we want to actually improve the travel experience, keep air travel in this vast and beautiful land accessible to all, and we want to make sure that pricing continues to favor Canadians' ability to move around the country. We want to explore all possibilities in terms of our safety and in terms of our accessibility and in terms of making travel and a responsive and comfortable and good and positive experience for all Canadians.
The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, the Earth has a diameter of 13,000 kilometers, and that's not going to change. Our resources are limited. It's not up for debate. It's just physics. And unfortunately, capitalism doesn't get that. We've already passed 7 of the 9 planetary boundaries. Here, the Liberals are missing their climate targets, and they want a new pipeline. It's just ridiculous. On top of that, they'd committed, along with Alberta, to take action on the industrial carbon tax before April 1st. And since then, nothing at all. The Prime Minister says that climate action is not just a moral duty, but an economic imperative. Does he even listen to himself? The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are very clear that we need to continue to fight climate change while we put in place an economic plan for future generations, and we are doing that work. As I've said, we have strengthened our methane regulations. That's reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 400 megatons. We've made investments to protect nature, and at the same time, we are making investments at the international level to help other countries fight climate change. We are doing the work.
That ends question period for today. The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable, Lotbinière. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During question period, the government House leader made statements saying that called into question some members, the words of some members of the official opposition. Do we have unanimous consent? So this brings us to the weekly statement, also known as the Thursday question. The Honourable Government House, Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
So maybe we should all pause and allow a little bit of time for the millions of Canadians to run over to their televisions to turn on CPAC so they can catch the Thursday question here in the House of Commons. But I would like to ask the Honourable House Leader for the government what the business for the rest of this week will be. And after our 2 constituency work weeks where we will celebrate Victoria Day and hopefully spend some time with our constituents and families, when we come back, if the Leader of the government in the House can inform us what the business will be then. I note that there's a lot of chatter in the public about energy regulations and impediments to natural resource development. We've got the actual people who do the investments and do the developments and build the projects saying that this Liberal government is shackling them with unnecessary costs and regulation. The Prime Minister, who has had a year with his powers of C5, the Major Projects Office powers, has gotten absolutely nothing approved through that office. Will the government bring in bills to repeal the anti-development legislation that the Trudeau government implemented and that the current government with the current Liberal Prime Minister has kept on the books? Can we please start seeing legislation entitled An Act to Repeal? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And like every, we are approaching the two constituency work weeks that my honourable friend described. And every good season must end with a cliffhanger. So that's why, Mr. Speaker, that the member will have to come back, stay tuned, and we will have, of course, legislative plans on a number of things that will respond urgently to the needs and desires of Canadians as we conclude this spring session of Parliament.
But for the time being, Mr. Speaker, tomorrow we will be studying Bill C-11, Act to Modernize the Military Justice System, at third reading. And when the House will resume its proceedings on Monday, May 25th, we will continue debate at second reading of Bill C-30, Act to implement the Spring Economic Update for 2026, and Tuesday and Thursday will be allotted days.
On Wednesday, we will start second reading debate of Bill C-31, the Budget 2025 Implementation Act number 2, which was introduced yesterday.